In this video, I'm going to show you how to name aldehydes and carboxylic acids. Let's jump right in. Aldehydes and carboxylic acids are very similar compounds. Aldehydes with 2 carbon-oxygen bonds can be oxidized to carboxylic acids with 3 carbon-oxygen bonds, 1, 2, 3. So they share some similar properties when it comes to naming them. Aldehydes, if you remember, are carbonyls with a hydrogen attached, and carboxylic acids are carbonyls with an OH attached. So the way to name them is aldehydes. You can tell you have an aldehyde because it has an AL suffix on the end of the word, al. And carboxylic acids, they end in ic acid. So if you see ic acid on the end of the name, that means you have a carboxylic acid. So let's just name the first 4 simplest aldehydes and carboxylic acids. So if we have 1 carbon and there's a hydrogen on the carbonyl, so it's an aldehyde, 1 carbon would be meth. So this comes from methane. We'll remove the E on the end and put the AL suffix, that's methanal. A 2-carbon aldehyde, carbonyl with a hydrogen, comes from ethane. So we'll drop the E and we'll call that ethanal. This comes from propane. This is the aldehyde from propane. So we write propane, but we drop the E and we add the al ending, propanal. And this 4 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4, comes from butane. We'll drop the E, and this is the aldehyde of butane, so we call that butanal. So methanal, ethanal, propanal, butanal. Now these end in ic acid. Carboxylic acids end in ic acid. So instead of methanal, this is methanoic acid. So ic acid or oic acid ending. Ethanol becomes ethanoic acid. Propanal becomes propanoic acid. And butanal becomes butanoic acid. So those are the technical IUPAC way of naming aldehydes and carboxylic acids. Take the alkane chain, drop the E, and either add al or oic acid. Methanal, methanoic acid. The common way of naming these uses these parent names, these common parent names that you really just have to learn and memorize. And you've heard probably some of these words before that have these prefixes in it. But form means there's 1 carbon in the group. So these will have the form parent name for the common name. 2 carbons have acete as the common parent name. 3 carbons, now this looks a little more familiar because instead of propane, it's propion. And 4, instead of butane, is butyr. So we hear where those come from. So let's come back and name these. This is the aldehyde, so the common name I'll write in blue. This is the aldehyde from 1 carbon, so it starts with form. And then they just write the word aldehyde at the end of that. So this is the formaldehyde version, 1 carbon aldehyde. So this is formaldehyde, the stuff they put frogs in biology, formaldehyde. This would be the carboxylic acid from the formal one. So instead of formaldehyde, we call the carboxylic acid formic acid. So form, 1 carbon. Acete means 2 carbons. So this is the aldehyde from 2 carbons. So acete aldehyde. Now the carboxylic acid is more familiar to us. That would be acetic acid. And acetic acid, that's of course vinegar. So acetic acid is ethanoic acid, 2 carbon carboxylic acid. Acete, 2 carbons. So instead of propanol, this will be propionaldehyde. 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 And this would be propionic acid. And the 4-carbon one, this would be butyraldehyde and butyric acid. So I would say the IUPAC way, pretty easy. Meth, eth, prop, but, put the al ending or the oic acid ending. The common names, you'll really just need to start putting formal, acete, propion, and butyr in your head. Just do a little memorizing, because acetic acid would be the most common way to call this compound, and formaldehyde is the most common way to name this one. So you'd want to have those in your head and understand what we're talking about. So, aldehydes and carboxylic acids, they're very closely related, and I hope that helps you recognize and be able to draw an aldehyde or a carboxylic acid. Hey, subscribe to the channel and watch more of my organic chemistry videos.